There is emerging on the face of the earth a new human, an infinite human, and that infinite human is you. Join Elizabeth Monroy weekly for enlightening discussions, multi-dimensional journeys, profound meditations, and empowering visualizations as we co-create the new consciousness renaissance together with other blossoming infinite human beings who are shifting the old paradigms of our broken, fragmented, finite 3D Earth and alchemizing it into a more expansive, unified, loving, infinite reality by reclaiming their true divine infinite power within as the co-creators of the new infinite Earth. Join us weekly for the Infinite Human Talk Show, hosted by Elizabeth Monroy.
Hello, my divine infinite human beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And we have the wonderful Mary Costello with us again. And so, Mary, for those that are just tuning in, perhaps for the first time, could you repeat a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thank you for having me. My name is Mary Costello. I'm from Ireland. I'm working within the channel of the Eternal Mother to bring complete and comprehensive correction to the womb of creation, to restore humanity's consciousness to the order of love.
Yes. And here's the great Dave Emery. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Dave.
Hi there. Sorry about the delay.
No problem. We're just glad to have you. So, okay, so we've got Mary here. David, can you tell us a little bit about yourself so we can orient people to who you are?
I'm a member of Planet Earth, and no, I'm just an ordinary guy who happens to have awakened in time to be able to investigate the truth of our history and of our purpose in being here. And that's why I'm so delighted to be along with people like yourselves, Elizabeth, and of course you, Mary. I'm following in your footsteps to understand more about who exactly we are, what our real identity is as angelic humans, and of course to learn more about myself and to be able to ascend into the celestial realms of who I think I really am.
Well, thank you. That's beautifully stated. I'm so glad that you joined us. And in the previous podcast, we kind of aired all the woes of female, just to kind of purge them from ourselves. And this was a catalyst. This was, instigated by Mary. It was all her fault because she did this amazing gathering, and it was an activation that brought in, and I'll let her explain to it, but it brought in the electrical magnetic distortions and cleared them. So I was explaining last time what happened in my physical body. I actually threw up afterwards, and what has been happening all week. And we had some comments on here about, hating men and all that. So we kind of were purging that. And I'm sorry, I'm going to apologize to you because I think you got caught up in that because I asked David to come on and then I'm like, no. And then I realized it was my own internal electrical magnetic struggle. And so I said, wait, no, come at the last minute. So I was playing out a lot of this purging of the lower frequencies, and poor David got caught in the middle of it. So I'm so glad, because you are, to me, and I think many people who know you, an example of this beautiful divine masculine and feminine in harmony, the electromagnetic dance that is going on. So thank you, and thank you for being so understanding.
And honestly.
Okay, well, let me start with Mary for a minute. Mary, can you just bring David up to speed, kind of what we feel has happened, especially right now during the 1111 portal?
Sure. So what I was finding that the reason I called for the workshop, I didn't have access to the energy supply that I needed for my creations. I didn't have access to the place of decision, the place of impulse, the place of projection. And I identified that to be the heart, but I identified it as the heart of Father, or the Father's side of the heart, let's say. And then I saw the vortex of the heart, the biological vortex of the heart has a light function, and I was shown the light function of this was to actually bring the shadow masculine. We had talked about the shadow masculine force of creation kind of bubbling up and causing havoc and kind of creating self-sabotage and self-sacrifice and these kind of things. And I was just wondering how we could restore electrical order to the energy supply, and how we could bring, and I've spoken about the channel of Father Earth, or the network of Father Earth, how we could know the Eternal Father in every moment, like in our heartbeat and in our pulse, in a way that was undeniable. And what I was shown in the workshop is that this vortex was pulling, as we cleared out the primordial level with the tone of Mother, right? We opened up the rose, the sound of Mother, to clear out, to pound through the primordial level, to disturb it. And we saw these strands of what we call masculine shadow, but what ended up being just wayward pieces of the primordial energetic force of the masculine, of the channel of Father, coming into this, like almost like a golden braid, being braided into this one energy supply through the vortex of the Father's heart. And we called for, because I had been asked previously, and we called for the resurrection of the architecture of the golden grandfather trees, which was a network of trees around the earth, but also then we are to mimic that within our own light body. And we saw that emerging, and straight away, that was, our voices changed. Do you remember that, Elizabeth? Our voices just received clarity and precision and sharpness, like we just tuned right in. And this is like, so this was, the circulatory system was being brought to order. So when I talk of electrical order, this was a very personal circulatory system brought to order. And the nervous system, we were purging, so the bonds and the commitments we had made, because we recognized that we had orientated our bodies, our systems around the shadow of the masculine. Every one of us, I think, has lived a life where we have, the shadow of the masculine was the center of our lives from the beginning of childhood all the way through. It was like a volcano waiting. So our whole nervous system was literally entangled with the shadow masculine. So we purged that from our body with the help of the golden mother dragon, which is the magnetic center of our central sun. And also, as we mimic, or as we are the micro of that, of our solar plexus. The golden mother dragon is this, it's just the eternal correct magnetic force of our engine that is being reinstated in the central sun, and therefore reinstated in our solar plexus. It's like the magnetic of our engine. So that's what we did.
That's what we did over there.
That's what we did.
So, we'd like to hear your.
It was lovely.
Yeah, because yeah, we didn't have a makeup party. Okay.
Well, I'm very impressed, Mary. I mean, it's an extraordinary journey that you've been on behalf of us all. So I respect and resonate with everything that you've been saying there. I confess that being just a mere electrical male, I didn't understand it all, but I'm slowly going to get there. So look, honestly, what you've been doing is very pivotal, especially in these times now, and. Certainly, what you've both been working on is so powerful, and it's a question of aligning the electrical and the magnetic. I mean, because that is what we're talking about. I know we talk about the masculine and the feminine, but it's also electrical and magnetic. It's also oscillation and vibration, and it's light and it's sound, and we know this now. And it's a question of aligning these so that they come into their connected full power together as one. And that's really what I've been working on a broad scale, not on a specific, detailed and very complex scale like you have been doing so successfully, Mary. And as I say, I tip my hat to you for all that you do. But I resonate with a lot of what you're saying there. And certainly since certainly for 15,000 years, maybe 16,000 years now, we have had a great difficulty in aligning those two cosmic energies, the electrical, the magnetic, the sound and the light, so that they should be aligned. We should be working as one to assist all the planetary systems in our universe coming through Earth. And of course, Earth is so pivotal. And it's fascinating what you were saying about the trees. The connection there, the golden braid and everything like that. I need to learn more about that, because that was a sort of an illumination, really, of some of the things, some of the dark corners that I've been trying to illuminate myself. You have just done. So yes, I'm on board with what you're doing, and certainly this alignment of the masculine, the feminine, the electromagnetic, which has been shut off from us for so long, is beginning to appear, and it's through work such as both of you do that this light begins to shine. So thank you.
Wonderful, wonderfully said, and thank you so much for coming here. And I wanted to bring this up because, as part of everything she says, for me, fits into the framework of the colonic science, and I just see what we're witnessing now, which is amazing. Is we're seeing the Costello spiral at work. We're seeing it moving, clearing away the distortions, and of course, for me and for us, the females, it's very personal. The first hour we kind of vented about what it was like to not be able to be our true authentic selves, the creative expression that we truly are in the world. And I remember just with Peter, I would do so much. I mean, I have years and years of stuff that now I'm finally getting out, but he'd be looking at me going, I don't understand it. You've done so much. You've written so many books. You've written so many screenplays. You've done so many things, pieces of art, and nothing ever opens up for me, because it was like there was this barrier, because my energy could not fit into the finite reality. So for us, we're feeling this, and I'm also really interested in seeing how I feel like this huge, what do you call activation, or influx of the Costello River that's come in, into the Golden Ray, and all this, we're documenting what we're seeing, how it's going to play out in in alchemizing the 3D world in a lot of the masculine. I'm kind of going to see how that happens, with the political arena now and the financial arena, because there are a lot of shifts going on. And I really believe there's a dark agenda, but I feel like they're not going to get away with the dark agenda because they don't have that. The quantum's not on that death spiral, the Fibonacci spiral, and also they're going to start getting better feed, from their electrical connection, because I think even if the men that have had good intentions, they've been being fed the distorted electrical. Do you want to speak to that as a male?
As a male, but no, I'm going to speak to it as an angelic human, just the same as both of you are, because we're together.
We are. Yes.
We're absolutely one. And in fact, the interesting thing is that when our consciousness was downstepped into the lower holographic realms, which is where we are now, and why we are so important, all of the angelic humans, we're so important. We are actually the return of the Christ. We're the second coming of the Christ as a collective, which is why our work is important. And I include everybody who's listening here. It's not just Mary, Elizabeth, and myself. It's all of us together as one. And I often use that phrase. But the thing is that when pure consciousness, downstepped through the 24 seeds of the God mind, so that we could be here now, it was downstepped into two separate but aligned aspects of that pure consciousness, and that was the electrical, the magnetic, the divine feminine, and the divine father. And what the divine father was God mind intent, God mind expression, and the feminine sound vibration was the God mind intention. So the feminine is God's intention, and the masculine is God's expression. And when they are aligned, the intention of the feminine energy aligns with the expression of the masculine energy, and this is what creates worlds. That's what really matters. It's how we create what we choose to intend through the feminine and express through the masculine. And so all of this actually plays down into the holographic realms where we are now. And of course, we know we have had so many distortions. And Mary talks so accurately about the shadow self. And the shadow self affects us all, but it particularly did affect the electrical energy of the male. It affected his expression. It affected his God-mind expression. And when that was distorted in the parallel universe, the masculine parallel universe, it deeply affected the alignment between the two. Our universe here and the parallel universe, which connects us. And that is where we had all of our challenges, and that was deliberately engineered. For example, in 13,400 BC, we had our parameter shields turned off. And because the parameter shields were turned off, we couldn't access the eternal flows of the crystal spiral, the Christ, as Elizabeth was talking about. So we could only get certain amounts of energies, but we couldn't get the full flow. And this allowed more distortions to take place. And I hope I'm not hogging the conversation here,
No.
but it's so pivotal to what Mary was saying. What happened then when the parameter shields were turned off and we couldn't get the flows of source through the Eka core, then what happened was that our Moda Adore crystals began to become affected. Now, the Moda Adore crystals are within us all. So the Moda means female within the male, and Adore means the male within the female. These are crystals, and they appear, and they're seated in the Iumbi, which is the solar plexus, which is what Mary was talking about, the tailbone, the Azure, which is here, and the Latue or the Rajna, which is basically the pineal here. So there are 4 centers of these Moda Adore crystals, which align in perfectness. They align the masculine, feminine energies so that we are God's intention, God's expression together as one. And when those Moda Adore crystals were affected, that was 13,400 BC, that immediately began problems between the interface between our masculine selves and our feminine selves within us. All right? And that, of course, meant that the whole collective had the same problem. And all our issues have happened as a result of that. For 16,000 years, this problem of the interface between the masculine and the feminine has increased. And it wasn't until 2003 that all of that was corrected. So it's since 2003 that the masculine and the feminine have slowly been coming together again, but still with distortions. And this is where Mary's work is so critical. And other people like Mary, but I've listened to Mary before and spoken with her. So her work is critical in helping us to take out the distortions and remake the alignment. And one of the things that helped us in 2003 was the Mahadra Adrana code. And that Mahadra Adrana code is what allowed us to start resetting our Moda Adore crystals and our realignment of our masculine and feminine. And I feel that that's definitely helped me since 2003.
Okay, beautiful. And this is a podcast for many, but if you are watching the video, I have that code. So, do you want to talk about? That's the code that was infiltrated, inserted into the template, the grid system of our planet, the ley lines, to restore that balance. But it was taken out by our friend Toth. Was that was that when the Nerubian crystal grid was, installed and the Kauai twin soul thing happened? Am I right with that, David?
Well, that Mahadra Adrana disappeared about 16,000 years ago, and you're quite right about Toth. He's been a big player in this scheme. But in fact, things really started to go belly up for us 25 well, 27,000 years ago now. That was when the Nibiru crystal grid affected us, and that was underneath Stonehenge. And so, Mary, I know that you're interested in this, and we spoke about this before some time ago. But that issue of what was underneath Stonehenge affected Stargate 11, which is in the Vale of Pusey, which is just slightly northwest of Stonehenge, and it's on the same line as Island in Ireland, and there's the same energetic grid line as the Hill of Tara, and that goes right through Paris and through the Vatican and into heart chakra 4 of the Earth. So what I'm saying here is that when they affected Stargate 11, that's the 1111 that you were talking about, that had a dramatic effect upon all of our physiognomy, our actual physical alignments, and has really hurt us in aligning our hugely powerful, cosmically powerful masculine and feminine. So, as I say before, without trying to overdo this, the work you're doing, Mary, is pivotal for all of those reasons.
Well, it's interesting what you said, because with Mary, and maybe you can talk about this, Mary, you were talking a lot about, I call it actually rose gold, and the rose lines, are ley lines that run right through England. They're very powerful lines. So what's your take? Do you have something you want to say about this?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. So everything you're saying, David, sounds like what I'm saying, just differently. I love that. So when you've been calling for alignment, I've been calling for attunement, because I'm coming from the place of sound, right? So I'm calling for attunement all the time, and I'm because I have the feminine aspect to a T, right? That's all I have right now. Well, now we have a bit extra because of Sunday. We got the golden grandfather trees, because we want everything to be like the eternal architecture, the eternal infrastructure, so that it stays put regardless of anyone else being here or not being here. And all of these eternal structures have safety or access parameters, let's say. So like the womb now has the eye of the womb, and has a resonance, a sound barrier to maintain its sanctity. That doesn't need a watchkeeper, right? The day of gatekeepers is over. The golden grandfather, so the father's energy is to flow through these golden grandfather trees, receiving the filtering of nature, receiving the intelligence of those eternal trees as it enters into the ground. So we want eternal principles, eternal architecture resurrected, so that it isn't dependent on one special person or two special people, to keep things going. But so I've been calling for attunement. And what I was just saying, when you talk, see, I haven't gotten to the place of the crystal spiral. The women that I work with have. My friend Sarah has talked about that. But what I came from from beneath the crystal spiral, and what I saw is that it comes from the rose. And I guess you might know more about the geometry of a rose, but to me, the rose is the frequency of where I'm from, and it is the closest thing I have to cohesive consciousness. So I'm very attached to roses, and I believe that this rose is the beginning of this crystal spiral. So you might know about that. But when you speak of the crystals within, I find that so exciting. That shows me that vibrational correlation is imminent, or there's nothing in the way of that. With the containment, when you spoke about the parameter, the containment being breached, that really annoyed me, because I know that, right? I felt that. I was like, oh, and now that has been restored. So there is an inability to breach the containment of the creational womb. We are in the workings of my mind, we are all within the creational womb. There's nothing outside of it. This is why, as I'm looking at things and undoing them, and allowing them, more so, I'm not unpicking them apart, but then allowing them to emerge. I don't recreate them necessarily. They re-emerge within the birthing waters as they are meant to be. As that is happening because of the containment, because the core and the containment of the creational space has been corrected. So again, this is not down to one special person, or, when the creational principles are the eternal principles are remembered, it creates a safety and a structure and systems and networks so that every single person can have access to the same abilities, or, to whatever degree, but no one can behave outside of them also. So the parameters that are set are eternal. Okay, so Stonehenge. Yes, no, the other thing you said, the war within, when you spoke of those two, the out of alignment, the out of attunement of the masculine and feminine, all I can feel is this war within. And what was meant to be the field of love was like the first place of war for most people is probably in their first relationship or in the witness of their parents. Truly the love field became the field of war with that program. Just feeling that changing, feeling the field is under the command of love. I know that actually because when I was in Skellig, that was the point of that. I was asked to place this ruby to find, let's say, a 0 point place, the 0 point place within Skellig. I found it. It was a little beehive hut. And and I had already foretold this in a story that I was writing, but I didn't really know what I had been writing. But I had to I had to offer the vibration of this ruby into the space. And I was shown that the fleet of us, we are a fleet of eternal whales or eternal vessels, whatever way you want to say it. I'm a big whale. I know that for sure. I'm a big blue whale. We were brought to the command of love. And I don't just say that was just me. I would imagine at the same time that's happening. Everyone's getting the same message. And that was coming from Arcturus, that message. So I can say humanity's consciousness with, the network of knowing, the circulatory system of water, within the water, is under the command of love. I can say that with my knowing.
That is just awesome, Mary. I just so love what you've just said. Can I talk here, Elizabeth? Do I have your...
Of course, my part to be here. Come on, this is so fascinating. You two are amazing. I love it. I'm there. I'm just watching.
There's so many things I want to share with you there, Mary.
Yes.
That was just brilliant. So I'm just going to launch into some of the things, and forgive me if I miss out some stuff. But you've got the code up there in front of you. That's the Mahadra Adrana code. It has all the codes within it. And that reset everything, including the parameter shields you were talking about. That was in November 2003. So that is the master key code of the universal arc of the covenant, which is a portal which connects to Andromeda and the whole of our universal matter matrix. That's all 12 dimensions. So I've thrown that out there, the Ark of the Covenant, okay? You went to Skellig Michael. Now, Skellig Michael was the place that the Ark of the Covenant in the etheric realms was placed into, straight above Skellig Michael in 2003. And so the connection there is the Ark of the Covenant is right above Skellig Michael. And you went to Skellig Michael and you discovered the rose and the beehive. And oh my goodness, well, that is just so awesome. Everything is beginning to connect. And here's something else. You said that you were a cetacean. Well, many of the 23 other seed lines that came into our particular time matrix 954 billion years ago, they lost their codes. The only one that retained their codes for lots of different reasons, at least partially, were the Melchizedek humanoid line. So a lot of really angelic and cosmically divine beings, such as cetaceans, came to Earth with the specific purpose of regaining their codes for their race line, but also for resetting the whole of the planetary systems right up to Andromeda. And that is to do with water, the hydrolyzed water, which carries the cosmic design. Oh my gosh. And one other, this is so exciting for me.
Me too.
One thing is that the whole of our pure consciousness, the God mind, is based on one thing. Well, it's unity and it's joy and everything like that, and it's humor, but it's based on absolute love.
Yeah.
That's the platform. There is nothing else. And when you started to say all the things you did, everything just fell into place. It was like watching a jigsaw manifest itself in perfection right before my eyes. So, Mary, I just want to say thank you.
You're so welcome. This is so much fun. I love this.
And one other thing I want to throw in the pot is that I saw you because you were being interviewed by Sasha Stone, our friend, at Tara. So how interesting is that? How all the signs and symbols are there. You want to talk about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me just give that a couple of minutes, because that was very special. And I received my ruby after Tara. I got this. I'll explain that. So, Sasha, I think I'd messaged a few times. I just kind of popped myself in front of his, in the way, kind of like, talk to me kind of thing. And then eventually it happened. So he came and he asked to meet me at Tara, and we met there and we walked around and we looked things through, and I got a feel for things, and I realized why he was there. And what we found a particular stone, and I felt the vibration of this ruby crystal heart from the stone. I could feel it inside myself, like the reverberation within myself. And I heard the vibration of this ruby, and I sang it, and in that moment it opened up a vortex within this ruby, which started spinning, and it was actually pulling the legion of the shadow dragons from the bloodlines of humanity. And Sasha's presence there, he had to be there. Everyone that was there had to be there. How do I say this? It's almost, I felt in that moment, I said that to him, it's like he had that code of that, heart of father and son. And we were reuniting the heart of father and son, because what we have had and even in Tara, where we have the lingam stone, which is all about lingam worship, but that's sacrifice actually, and that's disconnecting the lingam from the heart. And it's bringing the sons to war, all of that. That's what that's about. And we were undoing in that moment, or we were allowing the network of the ruby heart of father, which is what I felt I was told at that time. It was the ruby heart of father. And there's a network, and there was other women. I'm pretty sure another lady was doing this at Uluru at the same time. It was allowing this network across the earth to activate and to clear the legion of the shadow dragons. So I just want to say that, because that was a special moment. That was a very special moment.
Yeah, amazing.
I just want to say one thing, that's what caught my attention too, because when you were talking to Sasha, just your and I say encoded in your voice, our activations and this of the Divine Mother, and you just brought him, he'd been interviewing people kind of rapidly, getting the job done, and then he just stopped, and you saw the authentic, true Sasha come through as he softened and began, reflecting on his own. He was touched, you could say, and you could see that he melted and let more of the true divine essence of him come through. And I love that. And I wanted to have you both here because, I know you're schooled in colonic science, Dave, and I am too, but everything Mary was saying was just resonating. It was just expanding on the work that, Speaker One, Ashana Dean had done earlier. And I feel like that we're going to see more and more of that. And that's what my talk show's about, bringing people together because the truth is a frequency. And as these barriers, as these shadow aspects clear, these distortions intuition's clear. We are all tuning into the truth, and we're just reporting. It's like true news. The real reports are coming through. Like, this is what I'm experiencing over here. Oh, you're clearing this. Well, this is what I'm, and that's the new news. I think world today. And in Tara, we had, we cleared shadow dragons. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
So, David, do you want to say something about it?
Well, no, it's a very, very vital and vibrant conversation that we've had here, and I've learned so much, and it's expanded my own parameter shield. And I'm very grateful to both of you because it's wonderful. What I will say is that just listening to you, Mary, and I noticed this before but never said, and you have a very organic, earth-based concept of your expression of your energy, and it's wonderful. And this is important because you see quite often the masculine is very, shall I say, sky vision. The masculine is very out there. It's all to do with electrical thrust and go outside and do stuff. And the nurturing magnetic feminine is very earthbound, organic. It pulls in and it nurtures, and that's why when the two energies go out into source, they replenish their energy. They come back together and they align and they strengthen. They go out. It's like breathing, in and out. The masculine and the feminine together as one. And just listening to you, you're so organic and connected with the earth. In fact, you remind me very much of the ancient Hyperborea aspect of Earth, as was long ago when everything was so much more perfect. And you're bringing it all together. And when you mention Uluru as well, I can see that your reach is enormous, and it's wonderful. And
it's endless.
Yeah.
I want everything. And it's like I just move with this water, and I'm like, I can come like a lake, a river, a tsunami. I'm just going to keep coming. But no, I'm just being silly. But you know what I say, like true sound grounds and brings you back into the body. And I became I basically didn't speak for most of my childhood, and I didn't listen either. And I would attune I know what I was doing now. I was attuning. I would hug my mother and put my ear to her womb every day. I would come home from school and just wrap around her, and I would put my ear to her womb. And it's like she was always the same, and she was so strong and so clear. That was it's like, and I used to put my ear to a shell all the time. And I also just remember this today because the vibration of the true Father, we're coming into resonance. We are losing enough of our holographic projections and mess to be able now to perceive the true Father better, clearer. I remember I used to always listen to my father's heartbeat, and I was reminded today, about the Father's heartbeat, and it is the beginning of time. It is the eternal now. So I'm just really excited that all these things are just being remembered and making sense. And I don't believe anything unless I feel it, and I don't read and I don't listen to most things. My senses are very much attached to my soul. So even if people are talking and I'm not supposed to hear it, I won't hear it. Or I will get a message to look at a video for 10 seconds, and I'll get the information, and I don't have to watch the 2-hour video. Thank God I get away with all of that. So that's really exciting. I'd love to talk about, because that's what I feel is coming now, and this is the part that hasn't been spoken of, because we've had so many projections of the Father, and then of course we've had the sacrificial Son. Unfortunately, we've seen that too much and felt that too much. So I would love to talk about the heartbeat as the point of knowing the Eternal Father, if that's possible.
Yep, please.
Well, So, what do you want me to say? Something?
Oh yeah, if you have anything to say about that, I would love that.
Well, what can I say? You've covered the bases, Mary. But just from a personal point of view, and I mentioned that I feel, and I operate on feeling now, rather, and I do exactly the same with the videos as well. I get it as fast as I possibly can. But there's so much that I would like to connect with you on. First of all, I use alignment. That's essentially to do with the light, which is electric, and you use attunement, and that is so good. That has been the best thing today, because it is attunement, because it is to do with sound. Because sound is the glue that holds matter together. Sound is the feminine, and out of feminine and out of sound and out of the magnetic came the electric light. That means me. And one of the things is that a lot of the masculine energy loses itself in the thrust of expression out there. And it's very easy for the masculine energy to be distorted. And this is what happens. And they need the feminine, the organic power of the nurturing feminine, to make, not to make them, but to help them remember, to attune them to their own spiritual essence. And that's what I found with me. I've become much more feminine in my energies, because I've become more attuned to my own spiritual self. And that has been pivotal for me. And to do that, I go out grounding and hugging trees, which 40 years ago, if you told me that I'd be doing that, I'd have said, forget it. But now I'm totally connected, and it's because of the power of the feminine helping me to see my spiritual self.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And like, the word is compel, because we are compelling. Like, we ask nicely, but what seems to happen when there's options, people will choose the option that they have, that they're familiar with, even if it's the wrong option. So there is a compelling going on at the moment. So we have the sound field, the ether. Like I say, when I speak of the eye of the mother, the eye of the needle, it is a sound barrier over the ether. It is to maintain sound order, in the formless. So there is actually a compelling of, because this is what set me on the search for, well, why can't I be heard? I realized that I couldn't be heard a few years ago by somebody who I knew from a past life, who I used to be in complete vibrational harmony with. I realized he couldn't hear me. I was like, oh gosh, what's happened here? So I went and had a look at the sound field and how chaotic it was, and uncovered a lot. So there is a compelling going on at the moment to kind of, and what I would say, what I would love to offer now, is that there is like vibration. I call it a star map. You could say a rose map, a map of vibrational beginnings within matter, within the body. Already, vibrational beginnings are carried in the matter because they're of the mother. And this is how I feel. I don't even know if this is true. This could just be a fairy tale, but it's almost like there's a star map in the matter, in the body, in the mother, and there's a star map in the heavens. And what I've seen with this, which is the masculine, like almost the places that can be reached, I say, or the answer to this map in the matter. And I'm seeing with this, when we saw the reemergence, the rising of the grandfather tree, the channel, which is this beautiful, powerful, eternal channel that allows the energy of heaven, the electrics of heaven, to ground safely and in the right way, in a sustainable way. I could see, and we were quite taken by that moment, I think, when I could see how further the reach could get when those two star maps would, when the vibrational star map of matter was being attuned to by the electrical, by its correlation in the stars. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is brilliant. So we're reading each other's minds here. Well,
oh,
you're
cool.
Anyway. And the thing is that I got a question I must remember to ask you. The first thing is, with regard to the star map, I think you're absolutely right. Well, I know you're right. It's just a question of can I pinpoint the detail? And I think you're talking about the star map of the Christ code. The Christ code is a 12 signet Stargate map. Like, for example, Stargate 11 is the Vale of Pusey, and Stargate 12 is Montsegur in France, and so on. But there is a universal Stargate construct, a template, and that is the electrical Christ code. That's the grandfather that you're talking about. Now, where is the feminine? Well, the feminine, Mary, is the Crystalla, and that is right in the heart of the Christ code. It is small, and it is magnetic, and it is sound, and sound imprints everything. And that Crystalla is in the heart of the Christ code, the cosmic Christ code. And we all have a Crystalla within us. And that, I think, is the map that you're talking about. That is the original of all that we are as pure consciousness, absolute love. And now I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Because you said to me that you had a connection with a very strong connection with a person that you'd known in a past life, but that this time he wasn't getting it. He wasn't connecting with you, and you said that your sound was all messed up, etc.
Yeah.
So your sound is not messed up anymore. I know it isn't because I'm listening to you. How did you fix it? How did you repair and it sound?
Okay. Well, it wasn't so much that It wasn't so much that my sound was messed up, but I was muted. There was a muting taking place. The voice that I speak with is the voice of my womb. This is why it never changes. It comes from the same place. It's consistently this. But what I found is there was such a mess, a chaos, a cacophony of din and false sound. That's what I went about correcting. What I found was that there was false sound emanation from, let me just make sure I get this right. Okay, I was at Stones in Avebury. I found the central stone. It was a cast stone. It wasn't an organic stone, and I could see these black smoke rings coming from it, and it made me feel sick and a bit nervous. So I left it for a while, but I came back to it, and what I found is that, and it was probably something that had already been taken care of, because I saw that it was quite weak, but there was these black smoke, like sound signals from an outpost of Orion, connected to the black heart of Saturn, informing the stones. And you see, trees cannot be compromised, but stones could be compromised. So the sound was like penetrating the stone and creating fog. Whereas it's the vibration, it's the voice, that is. Yeah. So what I could say is that I went about bringing the sound field to order. I travel as a golden mother dragon, as well as my blue whale. The golden mother dragon is more kind of forceful, let's say. So she kind of gets things done. So I travel as her. And what I did in that moment, in that capacity as a golden mother dragon, I eat the sound rings. I eat the shadow and it turns to gold. I actually ingest it. Because, as I say, nothing is outside of the womb, and that golden dragon force is the force of the containment of the womb. So if something is in my field, in the womb, that shouldn't be there, I take it out, because I don't allow pollution,
Well, that is wonderful. Well, thank you for that. And also your mention of Orion and Saturn and the black looping and things. I recognize that as well. You are hitting all the bases right now, Mary. And of course, going to Avebury. I went there in 2005 on my own to check what was so great about Avebury. I didn't even know why I went there, actually. But I too felt that this wasn't a place that I wanted to spend any time in. So vacated, and now you've just been explaining to me. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And there was two beautiful like pillar stones. They were like these two masculine like gateway stones. And as we were leaving, they thanked me. Thanked me for finding the poison. It's like, and I didn't know what was happening, but I heard the voice of the stone, the vibration saying thank you. And
well, in 2005, you hadn't been there then, so
no.
I got the full force of it all. Thank you.
Yeah. It wasn't nice at all. But so the stone circles, there's another thing about stone circles. I'll say one more thing, and then I'll let Elizabeth try bring us to order if she wants to. But there is to be a beautiful mother stone within every stone circle. So every time I go to a stone circle, I stand in the middle, and I weave down the energy, and the stones are actually there to offer like resonance for what is. It's a harmonic. It's a place of harmonics. The stones, that's what stone circles are, and there is to be, and there has been in some, and they've been removed. A beautiful round, and sometimes they have a spiral on them. A kind of a mother, like a grounding stone, a mother stone that holds the tone of the stone circles. Because we know stone circles were used for all sorts of horrendous things, and this is actually to bring. That was holding the stone circles in sound order. But all the sounds have been messed with everywhere, but there's ways to fix it.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. So I just have a question for David. Just kind of orient us, because in the beginning of creation of this time matrix, and David was on our talk show before with Jane Evershed, and you might want to listen to that podcast also about the divine feminine, divine masculine. And you talked about how it fired out the particle, particum, and fired out the electrical universe in the magnetic, and then you said that the electrical fell first. So I'm just trying to kind of orient why there's been such an attack on the magnetic in this universe. And can you tell, is that right? Did the parallel universe, which was electrical, fall first? And is that why we've been so targeted in the magnetic distortions that Mary's talked about, this in the sound and everything, and the scrambling has been so targeted?
Well, yes.
Saturn,
yes. So what Mary's been talking about, and her, if I can use the word work, I'd call it a celestial intent rather than work. But what she's doing is repairing all of the grids, not just of Earth, but of our whole planetary system. Because what happened was that certain non-benign beings, you don't need to know the full details of the story, but Elizabeth, I know you know masses of this because you were involved in it. But in fact, they couldn't take down Earth, being the particum universe of magnetic feminine energy, the God's intent. They couldn't take it down singularly on their own. They were patriarchal beings. So they attacked the masculine parallel universe, which is the antiparticle electric universe. They took that down first. So what they did is they destabilized the masculine energy, the electrical energy, and took away its platform. And as a result of that, that actually, if I can use this word rather crudely, it denuded the feminine energies of our universe here, our particum universe, because there was no protection from the cosmic divine father, if you see what I mean, because that had been taken away. And so consequently, the feminine earth was left alone and was targeted. And that's where our history actually appeared.
Oh my God. That makes so much sense. Wow.
So they took the men out first so they could get at the female power, because the female power
so they couldn't protect the female, which is what the divine masculine does. It's always,
And
Wow.
once that happened, the divine masculine lost its connection to its soul identity, which is what it relied upon the feminine energies to do, to keep it connected with soul source. And so that's how men got lost, and that's why Mary is doing such wonderful celestial intention in bringing us all back together as one. Brilliant,
so at first, yes, brilliant, Mary. So first, what happened was they couldn't get to the magnetic, the mother. So they attacked they attacked the parallel universe. They disconnected the masculine from the divine father, from the divinity. So that's why we see the fallen shadow masculine. And so, and I always say, and I think Mary agrees, that the divine feminine is going to give birth to the divine masculine, or we're through the magnetic, we are going to repair and restore, which is Mary is, is exemplary in this, which her work, her cosmic intent. I love that.
I love that.
And I think all women are doing this. Is that?
Yeah, but Elizabeth, yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
No.
But you're quite right. And the thing is, though, that that at the very beginning, the first creation principle was that out of God mind came sound, God's intention, the feminine magnetic. That came first, and it was out of the God intention sound magnetic feminine that came the masculine. I think I mentioned that. That's critical, because what Mary and all of the feminine energies are doing, and this is so pivotal, is you are reclaiming the original movement of source of absolute love. You're reclaiming the whole thing, not just for Earth, not just for one man or two men. You're reclaiming it for the whole of our planetary systems. That's our universe.
But this whole time matrix, the 5 harmonic universe.
You're doing it for the whole lot. Yes.
We're the instruments of the crystal, spiral and the crystal river failsafe. We're doing the work through, and that's why, Mary, you tone and I tone all the time, and my throat has been so blocked. But it's all, even my thyroid that was nuclear. The doctors told me to take a nuclear cocktail, and that's starting to come back, because the divine throat chakra. So don't you? And you were saying this before, that the word was before, the word of God was the mother, eternal mother word.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. What I can say from what you're saying, what I hear there, is that it was the masculine was made finite, and the masculine was taken out of his channel. And many men have said to me, like, they feel so frustrated that they cannot see. They cannot have the same vision as women. And what I would say, with my knowing that this restoration of the golden grandfather trees, which is the like eternal architecture of the framework of the network of Father on Earth in a tangible way that we can know, is bringing the masculine back to infinite, as opposed to finite.
Brilliant.
And we have been infinite, but out of love, we've made ourselves finite, because we loved our counterpart so much. We loved the world, that we sacrificed ourselves so much, very much. I know that, Peter was fallen, and I just, had to go in and meet him where he was. And I think that's what all women are doing. And that's why there's been so much suffering, because we've retained that memory of our twin soul. There's some back feed there, maybe, David, of our twin souls. And women long for that union. I hear them all the time when I do readings for people. I was on the psychic lines, and where's my twin soul? Where's my twin soul? And we're reaching out, because we remember the divinity of that beautiful, beautiful union.
Yeah.
And
we do.
We long for it.
Yeah, we remember. My first love was Jesus Christ. my first crush. There was no such thing as a crush on a pop star. It was Jesus Christ. And I remember the heart of Christ. I remember the heart of Father.
Was it Ted Neely? Was it Ted Neely? Was it Ted Neely?
It was actually just a picture, a tapestry. It wasn't even.
I love it, Ted Neely, and I knew every word of Jesus Christ Superstar. That was my teen idol. You know, I write about that in my book. I know we were in love with Christ. And that was the Christ in the mail that we knew was there, but we couldn't get to it. And that's the heartache, I think, of what women feel. They feel that loss. They remember it. They know there's that divine love, but we can't get it. And so, okay. David, do you want to say something to that?
No, I wouldn't dare interrupt two ladies in full flow at all.
Well, we can. It's all coming now. Like, it truly is, because I've seen it and I felt it, and I could see. And once these things are corrected, they take on a life of their own. We are just restoring the fabric of reality. We are restoring the soil and the water in the womb, so that the parasitic overlays cannot flourish anymore. We're effectively starving the parasitic overlays by nourishing the truth, because parasites obviously don't operate on the frequency of love, and we're bringing the whole thing into love. So as the parasites go, as the holographic nonsense goes, everything is just emerging, and it's incredible. The things that emerge are so surprising and so delightful. So, like, the beauty of the angelic mind, the beauty of the angelic mind's creations are breathtaking. You know, so when they emerge, it's just such a delight. It's beautiful to be delighted.
It's sort of like when you said about the parasites are getting the door now. They're being kicked out of the door. It's sort of because of our spiritual ivermectin. We are too much for them.
So I think the biggest takeaway for this is it's such a message of hope, because we've gone through the whole gamut of the struggle of the divine feminine of the female on this planet, especially, but the male has been, fell first, and they've been so distorted. It's like amnesia. They don't even remember who they are. But the good news is that it's all being restored, and now we are going to be able first to restore that beautiful divine balance inside of us of electromagnetic, which allows for manifestation of the kind of life and the kind of world we want to return to, we want to live in, and the dawning of the golden age. And once we restore that within ourselves, also that will appear in our holographic template as a physical manifestation of the male or female, our twin soul, that romantic, beautiful, true union, where we have an experience, exchange codes through the sacred sexual alchemy, where the Yoshi gives to the Aiden the codes that bring more of him down into the manifestation to his physical body. And this is just going to keep augmenting as we ascend in frequency and reconnect all the parts of ourselves and reconstruct our plasma and our 12 strands of DNA, and oh, happy day.
And I would love to just say, as we are reconfiguring the creator, or we are allowing the creator to emerge without hologram, without projection, is my greatest wish is to remember for everyone that the creator has a womb and the creator has a heart, and that is very real, and these will never be bypassed in any creations going forward. The heart and the womb will never be bypassed.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to take a little bit of courage on the female part, and but I think we have to go on faith, because in our mind, in our trauma, in our history, our hidden history, there was a lot of trauma to stop us from this moment that we're now in. But if we can just have the faith that if we put our foot out there, it might feel different because we're leaving the finite, many times the gilded cage that we've been put in, placed up on the pedestal, waiting for the hero to rescue us. And I've been saying we're the hero, I mean, I know that was part of my story, wanting, and Peter did it all the time. And I'm still, you always have to finally become your hero and rewrite your life story to the heroic version of yourself. So it's going to take courage and a lot of faith that it'll be there, because the architecture's changed. The pathway, the golden pathway, the spiral is there to catch you, to hold you, to embrace you as you break out of the finite prisons that you've been mind controlled to contain yourself in. Really, that immense creativity.
And that architecture of self-abandonment isn't there anymore. So, and no one is asking for us to self-abandon either, So, of course, they have been mind programs for sure, and they have impacted us so much. But, people in really abject places of misery, they call for the full length and breadth of love. They're not calling for a performative feminine or a man in a cape. They're calling for what love really feels like when you're in the worst place on earth. So it's also about stepping into responsibility and knowing that anything that we turn our back on, and any kind of spiritual bypassing or anything like that, we are neglecting.
And I think we're going to start feeling it more, because we spoke earlier about the divine mother coming back for the divine child, that inner child that has felt abandoned, because that's the part of us as women that we felt when the disconnect happened. We and I write about that in the newsletter, that we were so used to just, using our power, the energy source, from directly connected to divine mother, and we created magical miracles of healing, of manifestation, and all of a sudden it was gone. And we've done a great job, of cooking a dinner for the whole family when you have like one potato, or we've created miracles, but at the same time it was all that. It was like we were running on one cylinder when we had full throttle before, and we're going to feel that returning, and that healing is going to heal our own inner distortions, especially that feeling of abandonment that we felt as the inner child of us has felt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And our mechanics of creation are just, I was shown a vision of, through my son actually, of this beautiful golden clockwork all throughout his body. And this is what has inspired the next workshop, is the workshop of the golden child. I'm seeing this, like, our bodies, our systems running like golden clockwork. The ability to, with the masculine and feminine energies and whatever else emerges, because I don't put a lid on anything, to see them working in perfect cohesion, attunement, alignment, in the way of the golden age, the way they are naturally, they know how to do this. We just have to keep going, keep clearing the way.
And yes, and thank you. In fact, I was noticing someone earlier had mentioned Kenya, about the golden child, the birth of the golden child, and then Naomi, yes, Fibonacci spiral of death. We were talking about that. And thank you for all your wonderful comments. I love this, because this is the first broadcast now that I'm actually out of the Voice America, because Voice America is no longer doing live, and they're actually they're ending, really. And so but if you're hearing me, I've redirected the feed to other podcasts, but also it's on my YouTube channel, so you can see the visuals. And I don't feel as rushed with time, so I know we are kind of over, but it's okay, because I'm not in that container, So
yay, you're free, Elizabeth.
Yes, I was just realizing how rushed I had felt trying to fit into that format, and I had been very nervous about, oh my God, doing it on my own, but I think it's very symbolic of what we all are feeling, especially women, because we're used to having, some kind of container that it gives us a false sense of security. So, but I know, David, do you want to say anything else? Because I know you're kind of quiet back there.
Well, no, I'm busy listening, as I should, to both of you, and I endorse everything that you say. I resonate with so much. It's been a great pleasure and a privilege for me to be here, because I've learned such a lot, and I've also had validated as well some of the things that I'm working on, that I believe in, that I write about. Because here we have both of you explaining that what I'm doing is right in the same avenue, the same concourse that you are, and that makes me feel really good. And I also wanted to say, Mary, you've presented so many wonderful things here about, certainly with your personality, but I think as the basis is absolute love of everything. The thing that I feel a great deal here listening to you today is your humanity and your compassion, as well as your humor. And these are all things which help us to connect as one. And so I wanted to say a special thank you to you, Mary.
Thank you so much, David. This function of compassion, I just want to speak on that function of compassion, because a lot of the true intelligence is there. Like, love has an order. Love has a complete system of and support system and networks, everything needed within it for its own expansion and upholding. And the function of compassion is, I say, compassion is actually electrical connectivity. It's the highest intelligence to know each other electrically. Is that the word? To know each other that way, and it's the knowing by heart, because the heart is the portal of electrics of humanity. So compassion, I've been made fun of for that, right? I've been told my heart is too soft, but all that nonsense that people say. But it's actually the highest intelligence to have compassion, because you can know everyone as one, and then you have access to a unified heart field that can literally purpose the motion of the water, that force of creation, into an electrical impulse, and set the course and change the tide as need be.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. That makes so much sense. In fact, in everything that you've said there, the fact that we are all connected in this way. In fact, the cosmic design, the cosmic design primary law is unity consciousness. It's the law of one. It's oneness. And that is based upon absolute love. And what is the avenue? What's the doorway into unity consciousness? It's compassion. And so I agree again with everything. This is going to be very boring for Elizabeth, because we're not in contention at all here, Mary. There's no arguments at all.
This is the way it's supposed to be. We're dancing the world into reality. That's it. That's it.
Well, no, this is like a new format. I mean, everything has shifted so much, and I love this because this hasn't been. Now I'm out of the damn podcast thing, because this has been a healing session, because Mary, you do embody that healing in your presence and in your voice. It's just so beautiful. And I really want to move into that new paradigm where we bring, I think that feeds me, where we bring minds together, really. I think like the great minds and hearts of the new consciousness renaissance, kind of like the Da Vinci's and the Michelangelos or whatever, but we're all just the words we're saying and the frequencies we're throwing out. And I tell people, tune in to my show, attune to my show, because we are laying a whole new tone. We're setting a whole new tone here of a healing between the masculine and feminine, because that really has to happen, and a whole new way of being together, being in the world. And I think, unfortunately, Mary, you in this beautiful energy has been so pushed aside. And like you said, you had to just like isolate yourself and put your ear to your mother's womb when you came home to kind of heal from the world. And I sometimes I do it to myself. It's like, oh, I don't have time to feel that or to be to see the delicate butterfly that is, fluttering around. I've got the rush of the world, and that world is fallen. We need to just shut aside and say, no, what is real is this compassionate embracing of life.
I can feel this frequency of our convergence through my heart, and it's extraordinary. We've always had a unified mind, but it was like when you take the Christmas lights out of the box, they're a disaster. That's what our unified mind looked like. It was a disaster. And even with people, what I can say with this beautiful channel, now the masculine is given the architecture of the infinite channel of the Father. Such an amazing thing to say. The storytelling, we will actually forget our war stories. I've been shown that from the unified consciousness, the scar tissue is being expunged because it's not an intelligent use of energy. So what happens is that when there is scar tissue in a root system, it takes a lot more effort to run life through it. So it is being expunged. We're actually going to forget our war stories. We're going to forget our stories of separation. They'll just go. They'll be gone. So that's exciting. So that I won't have to listen to 10-hour podcasts anymore. Like 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm so cheeky. I'm sorry. But there's a lot of retelling, and sometimes stop.
Well, I'm like you too. I said, I live alone, and I'm very much isolated. Except I'm not. I'm getting ready to take a flight to the States in like 6 hours, but that's part of it. But I think not tuning into a lot of things is because the frequency is so jarring. Like you said, It's all, and we're going to start seeing more and more of this kind of the podcasting, whatever. This kind of sharing, this kind of talking is going to come first from our voices, from our tones. From our music is going to change. We had a Kashi on here who's creating a whole new tone of music, frequency, and things. David, what do you think? What say you?
Well, I would say obviously that you're quite correct in what you're saying. And with regard to all the 10-hour podcasts, etc., I'm with Mary on that one. The thing is, I immersed myself for quite a few years with figuring out what the heck happened. Because I knew it wasn't meant to be like this. So how was it meant to be? Well, I couldn't figure out how it was meant to be until I'd figured out what had actually happened. And so I spent a lot of time really analyzing the details of what went down in what we call history, but isn't history because it's all fake news. But basically, the end result of all of that was, so I know. Yeah, I've been there, I've done that. I know what happened. Now we're fast forwarding into our own future, the future that we create, not the future that was probably created for us, or probable futures that were created for us. But we're now fast forwarding into what was always meant to be, what always was, and what will always be forever and always. And that is what we are creating. That's what Mary has been talking about here and now in practical terms. So that's what's been so brilliant about this conversation. And that's what made it, I think, so organic. Because we haven't been waiting for questions, have we? We haven't been, dutifully waiting to provide our answers and then wait until the next time. We've been actually actively, organically sharing ideas seamlessly and with a lot of love and energy and humor and laughter. And you know what? That's life. That's the way it was always to be. Love, laughter, joy, happiness, oneness, unity together. And I tell you what, this has been one of the most wonderful talks that I've ever been asked to take part in. And I want to thank you because you've been great.
This is so much fun.
I've never been on a double date before, but this has been the ultimate double
but what this is making me think of, and a good takeaway is, and we all have those decisions moment to moment of, fit in and please others, because we can't please others right now because they're coming from the old paradigm. And it's going to take a little bit of courage, but mostly, and even inside of ourselves, not rushing around, not trying to do a list of things. The AI web is being spun around us. It's like the whole Trump muskrat things trying to take hold. And, in America, for example, Siri will, turn left, turn right, take a cup of coffee now, wipe your ass, whatever. I mean, it tells you everything. And that is noise in your mind that is distracting you from the higher frequencies that are flooding in. And when you give yourself the space and you give yourself the time and you give yourself the permission slip to tune in and listen to that, even if it means stopping traffic to, save a little dog in the middle of the road, or pick a flower, or talk to a flower. You don't even have to pick it. We have to start shifting the paradigm moment to moment by giving ourselves that sacred space and doing it different.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, we are dancing creation into form. That's the interplay of all creational principles, masculine, feminine, maybe the child, the eternal memory, whatever else there is to emerge. I don't want to put a cap on anything, but we are dancing them into creation. The arduous, push and pull dynamics, they were of the false machine. They're not human mechanics. We work seamlessly. I've seen it coming. It's golden clockwork. We work seamlessly. Arduous sacrifice, and one person winning, one person losing, or haste, or anything. That is just showing that there's something wrong with the mechanics. We've just gotten used to it, so we think it's normal, but we all know it's not normal, and we've come to the stage now. I think I ran out of adrenaline last year. Like, we've literally we've come to the end of it. Like, there's nothing left. Either I change the engine or I'm out of here, or I'm just lying down forever. So yeah, we're just we were brought to the end of our dysfunction. Thank God,
Mm-hmm.
Great description. Well, yeah, I endorse that entirely.
Yeah.
Okay. David, any final words?
Yeah, I've got a final word, actually, and that is thank you. I want to say thank you to both, and also to all the people who are watching and who listen in the future, because this has been a very, very expanding discussion for me, and I've really felt at home with both of the people here, and with all the people who resonate in the same way with Mary. I have felt absolutely one with all of you. So thank you.
Well, we love you, Dave, Emery. We love you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Mary, what about you? Do you want to say something?
Oh, my last word. Thank you. This has been so much fun. And this is the way it goes now, right? This is the way of the conversation. So
yes.
we just keep them coming.
And I feel the energy just emanating from the screen. I hope the listeners do. It's just such a loving frequency. It's beautiful. And this is what the tone that we all have are going out there to set. The ripple of love, the order of love is being restored. So.
Yay.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me. And everything's on my website, infinitehuman.com, the podcast. And I'll just mention one more time, Mary and I are going to Malta for the fall equinox 2025. So if that sparks a chord in your heart, if that resonates, then just go to the website, drop me an email, and I'll just put you on the list. It's going to happen. So we got a lot of stuff in store this next year. It's going to be an exciting 2025. We're almost there. Woo! All right, beautiful, precious souls. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And also all you listeners who are tuning in, thank you so much for listening. And I guess I'll say ciao for now. I hate to say goodbye. It's just so sad.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Empowering words from Elizabeth Monroy and Dr. Peter Monroy. Check out their latest book, The Infinite Human, an ascension guide for starseeds, twin souls, and awakening infinite humans. The co-creators of the new infinite 5D Earth. You'll also find many spiritual books to help both children and adults in their ascension back to home, to infinite God Source. Isn't it time to be part of the new consciousness renaissance? If this resonates with you, subscribe to our website at infinitehuman.com and become part of our growing Infinite Human family.